half in the bag. Who do these guys think they are, Rick Berman?
All right, Mac and Me on VHS. I can't wait to not watch this.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Mr. Plinkett. What are you doing?
Well, I'm getting ready for my New Year's Eve party, of course. I'm inviting 50 of my bestest friends ever over.
Oh, well, we were gonna work on the VCR if it's not gonna get in the way of the party.
It's fine, I guess. Just make sure you're out of here by 8. We're gonna have a gay old time watching Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year Eve.
Mr. Plinkett, Dick Clark is dead.
Oh. Well, we'll watch Bob Hope then, whatever. Just hurry up and get to work.
All right.
Bob Hope.
Oh, he's crazy.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, would you sit on something?
What the hell is this?
I don't know.
That's one of my party favors. You gotta make a lot of noise at midnight when the balls drop.
Speaking of big balls, have you seen Django Unchained?
Why, no, I haven't.
What?
What?
Do you know what a bounty hunter is?
You kill people, and they give you a reward.
Better they are, bigger the reward.
I'm looking for the Riddle brothers. However, I don't know what they look like, but you do. They called my wife. They sold her. But I don't know who to.
Calvin Candy. That's the repellent gentleman who owns her.
Django Unchained is the latest movie from auteur filmmaker and foot fetishist Quentin Tarantino. The film takes place 2 years before the start of the Civil War and stars Jamie Foxx as a slave that teams up with Christoph Waltz to rescue Foxx's wife from an evil plantation owner played by Critters 3 star Leonardo DiCaprio. The film is most notable for its incredibly historically accurate depiction of slave-era life in the South. Mike, what did you think of Django Unchained?
I really liked it. It was based on a true story, right?
It was, yeah. It was based on a book about a true story, actually. I think the original title was Roots.
No, but in all seriousness, Django Unchained, another quality film from a quality filmmaker, Quentin Tarantino. Does everyone hate Quentin Tarantino too?
I think they did for a while after Pulp Fiction, and he kind of had that rock star attitude. I don't like him as a person. I find him incredibly obnoxious, but he makes really good movies. And he makes them in a way that it almost feels effortless.
You can say what you want about Quentin Tarantino. He loves himself. He's an asshole. He's crazy. All that stuff. But he makes really compelling movies.
They're really, really well made, regardless of the subject matter.
Yeah, it's the way that he writes the dialogue. It's the way that he directs the scenes. There's a lot of inventive camera work that you just kind of. It's not just like shots typical.
Yeah.
You know, they're just the camera just will go and do this thing that you're not expecting, and then the next thing it'll be doing this kind of dolly shot, and then the next thing it's shot completely differently. There's almost like there's this whole feeling of not knowing what to expect. Like, you know, Django Unchained is going to be a spaghetti western throwback, a grindhouse kind of pulpy movie. All of his stuff is like that.
Yeah.
But story-wise, I had no idea where it was going.
Yeah.
I had no idea what to expect next. Especially the opening scene of Inglourious Bastards, the scene where the girl's hiding under the floor.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just thick. The air is thick with tension.
He knows the proper length of time a scene should be to really ratchet up the tension.
Yeah, and all of his movies are sort of chunks of little stories within it, little vignettes.
It's almost like a series of short films that are maybe sometimes connected, but yeah, and this movie especially is really episodic.
Yeah, but you get that feeling in the theater too. It's not just people just munching popcorn and like talking to each other and waiting for the movie to be over.
People are actually engaged in the movie.
People are just, it's like silent and everyone's just watching this scene. They don't know what the heck's gonna happen next.
Yeah.
And it's that mixed with just really, really clever dialogue, really good performances, lots of tension, effective direction, everything in it is just great.
It's the whole package.
Why'd you dig him up?
A fortuitous turn of events brought Django and myself together. Move it.
Well, I've heard tell about you. You got me curious.
I'm curious what makes you so curious.
Well, what's interesting is that he makes these movies with a lot of sort of typical kind of grindhouse elements or genre movie elements, but he does it in such a clever way that even mainstream critics just praise his movies. Like the fact that you could have a movie where Jamie Foxx is hiding behind a corpse that is continually getting shot and just exploding with blood in the most comical way. The fact that a movie like that is so well received, not just critically, but even like his movies are always big hits, like with mainstream audiences, which is sort of crazy when you think of some of the movies that are mainstream hit films, you know?
Yeah, but then everyone typically runs to all the cliched responses to his movies and glorifies violence.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
Because
a little
it's so
of it?
much fun, Jan. Get
Really?
it?
They're misogynistic, they're racist, you know.
Yeah.
And everyone tries to make heads or tails of them.
Incredibly violent and soulless. There's no soul in it. And I wonder how he sees women being empowered when there's no soul.
All right. Thanks, Jen.
Okay.
Well, he's had a pretty impressive career as far as he just seems to do whatever he wants. It's never like, you know, he doesn't cast someone because they're big at the moment,
Right.
or he tells a story because it'll reach a wider audience. He just makes whatever he feels like. And that's seems to be getting more and more rare.
I need 100 black coffins for 100 bad men, 100 black grapes so I can...
Something up with these two. They him for that girl.
We gonna have us a Candyland tartan feathering in this house.
Another thing we should probably mention is Tarantino's use of music.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's another real strong indicator that these are his movies and not movies made by studios, because he has his own original songs, like 70s themed theme songs, and then at one point he plays a Jim Croce song, and then there's some rap music later.
It's
like,
very eclectic.
all these different musical, like Pulp Fiction was famous for its soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like it had a really popular soundtrack, and that was just all sorts of weird stuff.
And I thought it worked better in this movie than it did in Inglourious Bastards too. There was a couple parts in that where I was kind of taken out of the movie by some of the musical choices. This one, I thought, blended together well and fit more appropriately than some of the music in Inglourious Bastards.
Monsieur Candy, whenever you're ready.
I need 100 black coffins, black coffins, black coffins, black coffins, black coffins. Oh Lord, I need 100 black coffins, black coffins.
What would you say, Jay, if the movie were to have some problems? What would you say? Because we shouldn't, because everyone will say that we're sucking Tarantino's dick.
Yeah.
And
how dare we praise a guy that makes really great movies?
He makes really great movies.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I would say if I had any complaints, one would be the Django's wife, the Broomhilda character, is pretty underwritten. She really doesn't do much of anything.
Yeah.
Which is surprising because Tarantino usually has really sort of interesting female characters in his movies. That's one of his strengths. And yeah, she's just sort of there. She doesn't really have any sort of character to her in this.
This should not be any kind of complaint because it's a Quentin Tarantino movie and you have to have the caveat with that.
Yeah.
But for me, there was a point, I wouldn't complain that the movie was too long, just because it looked great, everything about it was great, I just wanted to keep watching it.
Yeah,
But
you can't complain about having too much of a really great movie.
Right, yeah. There was a point though when it felt like the natural ending of the movie, and then it kept going.
Yeah.
It did eventually ultimately pay off in the end.
Yeah, it would have been, I know that the moment you're talking about, there's a scene where it feels like the movie's wrapping up, and then it goes on for another, I don't know, half an hour, maybe more. And that'd be a bigger complaint if what happened after that wasn't great as well.
Yeah. Yeah, but it seals the deal at the end.
Yeah.
And it's a really good performance movie.
Yeah,
especially Leonardo DiCaprio. I'll give him a little
really?
nod here.
I know you're not a fan of Leonardo DiCaprio.
He's good at shouting, and he does a really good job playing like an idiot asshole in this movie.
He's used appropriately in this movie. I don't think I dislike him as much as you do in general. I think he's very limited as far as what he can do. He's always fine in a movie. He's always used the way he should be used. I don't think he has a lot of range. And in this movie, it felt like Leonardo DiCaprio playing a character in a Quentin Tarantino movie as opposed to sort of embodying that character.
Right.
Adult supervision is required.
I think the reason why I liked Leo in this movie was because of the fact that it's a Quentin Tarantino movie and the dialogue, and it's fun, and he's playing this kind of comical villain who shouts a lot. He's stupid. But Leo, like he's like a Tom Cruise, where you never forget that he's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
But Tom Cruise tends to stick to roles where he's Jack Reacher or Mission Impossible guy. Leo takes on a lot of roles where he's J. Edgar Hoover or Howard Hughes, or now he's this Southern plantation owner. Yeah. So he's like, to me, it always comes off comical. Like he's doing this little accent. Yeah. He's got this little face mask on. He's like, like a high schooler in a play. Like it's Leo.
You never forget it's
You never forget it's Leo. He doesn't become that part. It's Leonardo DiCaprio doing a wacky voice. And in this, it's you never forget it's Leo.
Yeah.
He's Leo doing a Southern accent.
Yeah, he does the material justice, but he doesn't elevate the material into something sort of more interesting the way some of the other actors do, like Christoph Waltz, who is like the perfect actor for a Tarantino movie. Mm-hmm. That guy's great. And Jamie Foxx too, he's sort of very understated in this. It's a lot of non-vocal acting, a lot of facial reactions, a lot of subtle work, and he does that really well. And I've never really felt one way or the other about Jamie Foxx. I think I saw Ray. I don't even remember.
Who knows what could happen?
Y'all ain't gonna make it out alive.
I thought it was interesting that the violence was used in a way where when it was a good character or a slave character, when violence was being inflicted on them, it was done in a very sort of tasteful manner. It was brutal, as it would be in real life, but it wasn't excessive. But the violence towards the bad characters was completely over the top and ridiculous in the best possible way, where it's sort of almost cathartic, and it's sort of a celebration of movie violence, which is not the same as a celebration of violence or and I think that's, I mean, you're always going to have those people that don't understand the difference.
Oh, really? Okay, I'd like to see you walk down the street and get attacked by some kids who've just seen your movie.
But you saw, but see, Jan, you're all messed up because you're talking about real life.
Oh,
and I'm
I see.
talking
And kids
about
at
the
12,
movies. You got to get it straight.
But I appreciate that Tarantino is just making what he wants and isn't going to water that down for fear that some people won't understand it, if that makes sense.
What are you doing?
Hey, don't do that.
Don't do that again.
Well, Jay, let's talk about the humor in this film and whether or not you think it was appropriate given the very sensitive subject matter.
Well, I will say that this is the second funniest movie about slavery that I've ever seen.
The first being?
The Patriot.
Oh, right.
No, this is a genuinely funny movie. Probably his funniest movie. There's a lot of humor in this, a lot more than in his other films. And I would say the humor is used appropriately. It's not like a ha-ha, slavery was funny.
No.
That subject matter is treated as brutal and disgusting and horrible, which it was. But I think it's impressive that he can make a movie that is also very funny in that world, in that context. I don't think anything was in bad taste as far as its portrayal of slavery, or there's no humor in those segments. You know, if you want to take someone's power away, you ridicule them. And I think this movie does a good job of that, as far as pointing out how ridiculous and ignorant these people are.
Anyone bring any extra bags?
No, nobody brought an extra bag.
I'm just asking.
There was one sequence in the movie, it's probably one of the most sort of emotional scenes in the film, where Django is reunited with his wife, finally. and I was completely taken out of it for reasons that most people won't, but Django opens the door and she sees him for the first time in however long they've been apart, and the sound effect on the door was a sound that Mr. Plinkett's door makes every time we walk into it. And it completely ruined the emotional impact of the scene for me.
It's all right. At least they didn't have this sound in the movie. Well, by the way, Jay, I just wanted to say I don't know if I ever was against digital projections. I think earlier on I was, because they always seemed dimmer and less interesting. But compared to our viewing experience of The Hobbit in 3D in 48 frames in an ultra screen, looking at it from a fishbowl perspective, we saw Django Unchained in a very big theater, not an ultra screen theater. Very big theater. On the bottom level, about 20 rows up.
But centered.
Perfectly centered, beautiful projection, digital projection, but still very bright.
Yeah.
And Tarantino still insists on shooting on film.
Mm-hmm.
It does nothing for me. I mean, I actually think I'm getting gypped when I go to a movie and I realize it's either been shot on digital or being projected in digital. Because everyone thinks, you can't help but think, that when you're filming something on film, that you're recording movement. You're not recording movement. You are just taking a series of still pictures. There's no movement in movies at all. They are still pictures. But when shown at 24 frames a second, through a light bulb, it creates the illusion of movement. So thus, as opposed to a recording device, when you're watching a movie, a film print, you are watching an illusion. And to me, that illusion is connected to the magic of movies.
But it was just a great cinematic experience. I didn't have to wear the dim 3D glasses. There was no pokery, no skedoodling, skedaddling, no razzmatazz.
Are there any other words you would like to use, Grandpa?
Pickery-doos, hickory-docks and doos.
What you're saying is the movie is more of an immersive experience than the fucking Hobbit.
Yes, I was immersed in the story and being drawn in by the way the movie was made, by the dialogue, by the way it was shot, by everything that the filmmaker intended, other than cartoon blue elves running around and look at how many trees are flying past you in Pandora. It's like,
yeah,
fuck you. Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained immersed me more than your hackery, daiquiri-do, 3D deedle-dums. Suck it, Peter Jackson, Peter Haxon, James Cameron. You frauds can eat a dick. This movie was great. He also did all the assuming most of the blood effects were all real.
I'm going to assume all of them.
Yeah, there might have been a couple little ones here and there that might not have been, but there were real explosions of blood and gore.
It was pretty impressive. It was Paul Verhoeven turned up to 11.
Yeah.
Really, really impressive practical effects. Mm-hmm. And I love that a movie came out this year that is doing very well critically and box office wise, that features a man getting shot in the dick at point blank range.
And you know, I think he was going for historical accuracy, because weapons back then were more brutal. Like weapons in the Civil War, like fucking musket balls were just like this. Yeah. You know, they were just musket balls, and when they hit you, it just blew you to pieces. Seriously. Mm-hmm. And I can spot a digital blood splatter from a mile away, and I just hate it.
I hate them too. They always look bad. So kudos to Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, he has a set of balls on him, and we appreciate that.
So does Jamie Foxx.
Yes, if you want to see Jamie Foxx's nuts, go see Django Unchained.
Look at me.
Bullseye.
Django.
So, Jay, what did you think of 2012?
Oh, I hated that movie with John Cusack.
Oh.
It's fucking stupid.
You know, I saw that whole movie, and I thought that was Joan Cusack. No, I'm not talking about 2012, the movie. I'm talking about the year in film.
So what you're saying is we're going to do a recap now.
Yes.
We're going to do a recap. So what's a film that you saw this year that we didn't discuss on Half in the Bag?
Well, on the subject of comical films about slavery, I saw Lincoln.
Oh, yeah.
The new Steven Spielberg comedy. Incorrectly titled film, it should be called The 13th Amendment. Passing of the 13th Amendment. Spielberg's Lincoln was a good film based on some book with a really long title.
So it's not a biopic movie about Lincoln's whole life.
No, it's Lincoln's in it, of course, and there are a lot of dramatic elements with Lincoln and Mary Todd Lincoln and his son and things of that nature. But the movie really revolves around the process of passing the 13th Amendment. It's not like Lincoln doing the log cabin. Lincoln, he chopped down the cherry tree, and he said he wouldn't lie about it. That was George Washington. I was seeing if you knew that. Lincoln, he was a railroad guy. He hit the railroad ties, and then he became a lawyer in Illinois, and then he did some other things. And you know, Lincoln's life. It was not that. It was just a very short period of time when he was trying to get the 13th Amendment passed, and the kind of moral quandary he was in with he had an opportunity to end the Civil War earlier, and because the South was kind of on the verge of surrendering, and if they surrendered, they wouldn't get the 13th Amendment passed. They wouldn't end slavery. So the South would just surrender, but Lincoln wanted to also end slavery. So there's a political debate, and it's a very kind of dry movie. If you like history, you would enjoy it. It kept my interest most of the time. Probably because, you know, Spielberg did it. He's adept.
He knows how to shoot things.
He knows how to make movies and keep them interesting. But yeah, there are no action scenes. There are no great Civil War battles and all that stuff. It's really all the things that happen behind the scenes in the White House. And it's very interesting in that regard to see not really kind of glorified Hollywood, silly historical version, but it's a very detailed, and we have to get these congressmen to vote on the bill. We have to try and get this to go through. And
so that's interesting, because when I hear Lincoln, directed by Steven Spielberg, I already have the whole movie in my brain. So it's nice to know that it's not that.
Yeah, there's some cornball stuff. There's some Spielbergian saccharine ending, but overall, it's a good movie. It's not for everyone.
Does Lincoln get shot in the fucking head in the movie?
No,
it's just that brief period of
time. They show
so
when they have the ending when
they do
dead.
have that in there.
They do a little bait and switch type stupid thing. Like they show it's really dumb. There's a scene earlier on when Lincoln and his wife are in the box seats, you know, the balcony seats where he gets shot from. And they show him, and they're talking, and the camera's going like this, and you're like, oh, is he gonna get shot now? Lincoln's in the theater, and then it ends, and then that was a different time they went to the theater, and at the end they're like, it's time to go to the theater, and then they go to the theater, and you see a stage performance and blah blah blah, and then some guy runs out on stage and he goes, the president's been shot at a different theater.
Oh, I see.
And then they cut to him on the deathbed, and the doctors. And
that sounds really lame.
It was a dumb switcheroo, a dramatic switcheroo, as it's called in the industry.
I see.
Spielberg, yeah. I'm like, oh, you did that? You just should have just cut to him in the bed. And of course, I can't talk about Lincoln without not talking about Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh God, yeah.
Who is just tremendous.
Sure.
He's really good. I mean, not just the look, but the performance. So,
yeah.
You know, but Tommy Lee Jones's face is also in the movie, and you know, if I wanted to look at wrinkled stone, I would visit Mount Rushmore.
Shall we stop this bleeding?
Well, speaking of Tommy Lee Jones, I saw just recently. I didn't see it was in the theater. Men in Black 3.
That's a movie you want to bring up?
Sure, why not? It's
Is
a
it-
movie
okay.
that came out
In 2012?
in 2012.
Okay, well, let's talk about Men in Black 3.
I actually was surprised by how much I enjoyed Men in Black 3. It was very entertaining. It's not a deep movie, obviously. It's a dumb summer blockbuster movie, but it was very, because that second movie was terrible. That second Men in Black movie was just sort of like just a bunch of shit shoved into a movie.
Is that the one where Johnny Knoxville has a cartoon head?
Yes.
Is that the second one?
That's the second one. Yeah, that second movie is pretty awful. But this one, it was very focused. The storyline was very focused. The narrative was very straightforward. It wasn't just a bunch of crap shoved into a movie to make a sequel, which the second one felt like. And Josh Brolin plays young Tommy Lee Jones in that movie, and it's the highlight of the film. He's really great at doing his impression of Tommy Lee Jones. That's more than just an impression. It actually does feel like a character.
Okay. How do you know my name?
Do they still have Rip Taylor as the head of the Men in Black organization?
No. They wrote out Rip Torn. He's actually dead in this one. And I think they wanted to avoid working with Rip Torn because he likes to drink and gets confused and thinks that banks are his house.
I've been there. I once thought a person was a parking space. So, Jay, what else did you see this year?
I also saw the Paul Thomas Anderson film, The Master.
Oh.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. Everyone says it sucked.
No, it doesn't suck. I want to watch it again because it was sort of a frustrating movie because it's a really great movie. Like, it looks great, it's well shot, that Paul Thomas Anderson knows how to put together a movie. Really great performances, and it's more of a character-driven story than it is a narrative-driven story. And the relationship between Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix is really interesting and strong. Their performances are amazing, but at a certain point in the movie, it felt like, I don't know, I would say it felt almost like a shallow movie. Like, you get their relationship.
Like Shallow Hell? What do you mean by a shallow movie?
Well, once you understand their relationship, it kind of feels like the movie doesn't do anything for a long period of time. The movie kind of flounders around a bit, and I don't know. It's a really obtuse movie, but really great performances. And Amy Adams is sort of the linchpin of the whole movie, I think, and that's sort of subtle the way that's handled as far as her character and her character's motivations. So, good movie, just it felt really bloated.
Well, I of course cannot comment because I have not seen The Master.
Yeah. I will say though that it's great to see a movie that is this well made and this smart, but also features a scene where Joaquin Phoenix jerks off into the ocean and also tells people that he wants to fart in their face.
It's funny because the same thing happened in Lincoln.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But speaking of films with good performances, I very, very recently saw This Is 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh, yes.
Is that what it's called?
The movie's called This Is 40 Hours Long.
This is 40 First Dates?
Yeah.
This is 40. It's the new film from, what's his name?
Judge Reinhold.
Judge Reinhold. No, it's from Jerry Maguire. No, who's the guy that makes the comedies?
Adam Sandler?
No, Adam Sandler doesn't make comedy films.
That's true.
Judd Apatow.
That's his name.
Yes, Judd. It's the Judd Apatow film. I'm going to go with a non-recommendation on it. Stay far away from it. But I enjoyed it a lot and I laughed a lot.
Then why would you not recommend it?
It's like it was like visiting. It was ironic because I watched it around Christmas time. It's like visiting your family. You go. You have some good times, but most of the time you feel like you're being punched in the face over and over and over again. And that's kind of what this movie was. It was just a roller coaster ride of ups and downs of people yelling and screaming, and then funny parts, and then people fighting again and yelling and screaming, and then some funny parts and some interesting characters. The really good performances all around. Everyone in the movie's good. Tonally, some of the comedy stuff goes from unrealistic stuff to very realistic to silly, back to horribly unrealistic, back to realistic fighting. And it's just like, oh, I'm starting to get a headache.
So what you're saying is they probably shot a ton of footage, a ton of improv, and then tried to mold something out of it. Well, that's Judd Apatow.
Have you seen my starfish? Where'd I put my starfish?
So, Jay, I understand that you've seen a handful of smaller films that were not released theatrically in theaters. What are those films? Please share them with us. Look to Jay.
That piece of paper's blank. I also saw the comedy starring Tim Heidecker.
And was it funny?
No, that's the irony of the whole movie.
Oh.
That's, the title is
why
ironic.
What's it about?
It's a difficult movie. It's definitely a difficult movie to recommend because it's aimless. It's a very aimless movie, but it's aimless by design because it's about a character and his friends that are also aimless. And they're all horrible people. So it's a directionless movie about awful people. It's what they call a feel-bad movie, and I like a good feel-bad movie. It's sort of just an examination of these people, these characters, specifically Tim Heidecker, and what you would call aging hipsters, the people that are sort of detached from everything and everything's a joke, they don't take anything seriously, and how sort of pathetic that is when you're in your mid to late 30s, and you never sort of learn to grow up. And it was interesting because I've never seen a movie that deals with those type of people this accurately. I know people like this.
Wasn't there a movie with something with green in the title?
Greenberg?
Yeah, Greenberg.
Greenberg. Yeah, there's Greenberg with Ben Stiller, and that's comparable, but it's not exactly the same. This is a movie that it felt
more realistic. Yeah,
this movie felt very real in a way that makes you uncomfortable while watching it. So it's a movie that kind of makes you squirm, but if you're into something like that, it's worth checking out. And lastly, I saw a film just recently called Excision, which I enjoyed so much it was almost depressing because it's the type of movie that I would like to make, or the kind of movie I should probably focus more on trying to get made. It's one of those movies, and I think we all have those, that sort of almost feels like it's tailor-made specifically for you. Have you ever seen any movies like that? Really?
Yeah, it's Showgirls.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and it's about because I have a horrible fear and disgust of the human body. I think we've mentioned that before. And of disease and hospitals, and the movie's about an awkward high school girl that is fascinated by and obsessed with medical procedures. And she has these fantasy sequences about surgery where she sort of fetishizes or sexualizes surgeries, dry humping corpses and the like. And but it's not a horror film. I thought I was going to watch a horror film, and it turned out to be more of sort of a satirical kind of family drama.
Black comedy? Or?
Yeah, sort of dark. John Waters has a cameo as a priest, so that should tell you something right there. Tracy Lords plays the mom. She's very sort of over the top. She's a little hammy compared to the tone of the rest of the movie, but the main actress in it I was completely unfamiliar with, but she's genuinely unattractive in the movie. Greasy hair, the way she sort of carries herself, her posture. And I looked her up afterwards because I had no idea who she was. And she's apparently on the 90210 reboot. She's a good-looking girl, a very attractive girl, but she's genuinely unattractive in the movie.
We'll give a shout-out. What's her name?
Anna something.
Oh.
It's not a perfect movie. It's a little unfocused, but her performance, that lead actress's performance, really sort of drives the whole movie. So it's another one that I would call a feel-bad movie. If you like movies that make you feel like shit and you just want to take a shower afterwards, The comedy and Excision are both excellent examples of that.
I'm turning my life around. I realize it's not all about me anymore.
Well, Jay, let's look forward to 2013 then.
I do understand that there's a lot of movies to look forward to in 2013.
Yeah, and those movies are?
Oh, there's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D.
A Good Day to Die Hard.
The Carrie remake.
Another one?
Yep.
The Croods. Computer animated movie about cavemen.
G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Pain and Gain.
After Earth, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. The Fast and the Furious 6.
Hangover Part 3.
Grown Ups 2.
Paranormal Activity 5.
Thor 2.
The Smurfs 2.
Star Trek 2.
Scary Movie 5.
Holy cow. We were talking about movies for so long, I lost track of time.
Yeah.
It's like 11 o'clock.
Oh my God, 11?
Yeah.
It's almost midnight. Mr. Plinkett, where are all of your guests?
I don't know. Nobody's shown up to my party yet.
Who'd you invite?
Let's see. I got Jack Palance, Charles Durning, Ricardo Montalban, Richard Dawson, Jack Klugman, Gloria Stewart, Larry Hagman.
Mr. Plinkett, all those people are dead.
You mean all of my friends are dead? Well, no wonder nobody's coming to my party. I guess I'm spending New Year's alone.
This is kind of sad.
Yeah, we should get out of here.
Yeah. Well, I'll see you later, Mr. Plinkett.
Yep.
Happy New Year.
This isn't right, Jay.
No, you can't let Mr. Plinkett spend New Year's all by himself.
No. No, we can't. We have to stay. It's the Christian thing to do.
Happy New Year!
This is the best day of my life!
Happy New Year, Mr. Plinkett. Happy New Year.